What is the word about solar energy? With the energy prices rising and the Texas grid being questionable, is solar an opportunity or an option for you and your home? Stay tuned to Relax I Got This, where we're going to talk to Mike Finney about solar energy.
A real estate transaction is potentially the largest investment we make in our lives. Whether you're buying and selling your personal home or investing in real estate, you need the knowledge to make the right decisions. Get ready. Robin is a Texas realtor and has the experience to give you the information you need to make the right decisions. Welcome to Relax I Got This with your host, Robin McCoy.
Hey, everybody, it's Robin McCoy with Relax I Got This podcast. I want to thank you for tuning in. And today we're talking solar energy with neighborhood solar guru, Mr. Michael Finney.
Yes, ma'am. I'm back, everybody.
He's back. This is
you
wave
didn't have
2
enough
for
of the
him.
first time.
Well, Neighborhood Solar is the only true solar brokerage in Texas. They shop the entire solar market to make sure their customers make the best possible solar decision. They take an education approach with no stress, no pressure. They love partnering with other industries and giving other forms of revenue with little to no effort or investment. What does that all mean?
Jeez,
You mean you're not going to hammer me into getting solar? Sign me today. Sign me today.
Well, first of all, it sounded better coming out of your mouth. I got to offer you a position here at Neighborhood Solar. That's, you summed that up great. But no, exactly. I mean, I started as a customer, looking at solar, and I saw the potential with the industry. Unfortunately, it's an unregulated industry, and so you get bad apples, and or not necessarily bad apples, but you have companies that they're charging too much for one reason or another. Maybe they're feeding too many people with every one sale, or maybe they're just not getting the best prices for the panels or their inverters or whatever. All of these companies are self-taught, so because it's unregulated, so you're dealing with a lot of different ways of doing the same thing.
So let's tell that story about when you were looking as a consumer and how you had these people come to your house and they told you what?
Well, so the first couple of guys, they were just massively different, right? In what they were offering or what they suggested. And that made us pump the brakes. First of all, my wife had the idea of solar. She was like, oh, let's get solar. And I didn't think much of it until somebody was in my house.
So all of a sudden they're at your dining table and you're like, oh man.
She surprised me with that kind of, but I'll listen to anything, and I was listening. I liked it. The more I listened, the more I learned, and then they wanted me to sign, and right now it was a big high pressure deal, and I've been in sales my entire career, really since I was 14 years old, trading Pokemon cards. So I don't make any kind of
you don't make those quick decisions.
I don't. I'll just I'll research, and I always shop. I came from insurance where I shopped for customers. So anyway, so we started shopping, and lo and behold, it seems like every single company had a different strategy or suggestion for me. And while that made me made me nervous and almost give up on solar in general, because of what conceptually what solar was, which is I'm going to eliminate most or all of my energy bill and replace it with a lower solar payment, that the money goes towards an energy producing asset rather than throwing it at the utility and getting nothing in return. So I can pay less for ownership in a solar system, building equity within it, or I can pay more and it's fluctuating, and they can gouge me for fees and all kinds of other things. So conceptually I was sold. Then it was just about finding a company that I trusted to do the job. And as we've grown in this career, we know more about which companies not to use anymore. Unfortunately, because there's so many people going solar, and none of these companies are perfect, but they're all learning on the fly. They're taking on so much business that things are falling through the cracks. And that's where I come in, and because I'm not tied, not just me, my company, because we're not tied to any one company, we're always molding and morphing and finding a better option and a reason to move a customer from this company to that.
So
Um,
let's touch on that for a minute. What do you mean you don't work for any one company? You mean, how does that work? So you work like a broker, like
as
you did with your
exactly.
insurance business.
Exactly. And that's what gave me the idea, is like, we're not going to be married. When I sold insurance, I wasn't just, married to Liberty Mutual. I could also go over here to Travelers or to Encompass or Allstate or any of these companies. So the same thing is how we set up for solar. However, it's not traditional. I've never seen any other solar broker as long as I've been doing this, is 3 years. So it's been it's a huge competitive advantage. We guarantee to have the best price per watt. I have access to any panel you want. We've got our preferences, but I'll lead you through. I'll lead you through, and I'll show you the best solution should solar work on your property. It might not, and if it doesn't, I'll tell you why it doesn't, and I'll show you not to do it, or why not to do it yet. So it's a low pressure. It's an informational deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is I love having a competitive advantage. It's one of my favorites. So, yeah.
Well, and I think too, that like you said, there's just so much of the unknown out there about it.
Mhm,
And maybe, like you said, even the companies are learning on the fly.
mhm.
And that's okay,
Yeah.
because you have to learn somehow. And yet there's always going to be customers that get caught
In the
in the
middle.
learning curve, and
Right.
that is not okay.
And that's not okay. And then, I mean, these utilities are changing their terms. Cities are changing their permits. So it's like an ever evolving, you know, industry. So
Yeah.
you have to have somebody that's not just knocking on your door, some kid right out of college that, just was taught one thing. And then as soon as you sign on the dotted line, he's going and knocking on the next door. And that's
Right.
it. It has to be a relationship. It has to be an ebbs and flows. It has to be a guided process through from start to finish. And that's what we are providing, and that's what we're striving to have the best customer experience possible. And because of offering so many different companies, it lets us peek behind the curtains and find, well, this company does this really, really well, and this company does this really, really well, and this, and just
Yeah.
taking those ideas and actually taking those to ownership, and then these companies that we're partnering with can get better at certain aspects. So it's really leveled the learning curve for us, because we're learning from so many different people that have been doing solar for 10-15 years in
Right.
Texas. So it's been great. We couldn't ask for a better environment, because the energy rates are going crazy. The government is pushing solar. It's just it's a great industry to be in, but it's important to shop. Like, my
Yeah.
call to action for anybody is, don't just either give us a chance or shop a bunch of companies on your own.
Don't just take the first, no matter how much pressure they're putting on you to sign
Exactly.
that dotted line,
Yeah.
and how much you're bought into solar, make sure you talk
And the
to more than
reason
one person.
Exactly. Well, and it's easy to sign on the dotted line the first time you see it, because you're like, dang, why? Okay, if I'm paying $250 on average for my energy, and this guy's saying that it'll be $170, like, okay, that's great. Well, if you shop that, turns out you can find $135 with the same stuff,
Yeah.
or even better equipment. So it's like, that's the kind of stuff that, just because you're getting a great deal, or you think it is a great deal, but because of that, and because the energy prices keep rising, the amount of not just commissions but profit that these companies can get while you're still getting a great deal continue to grow.
Sure.
So that's why you want to keep them honest. Even if it's a great deal, you shop a couple other companies, let them know that you're shopping, so that they know, okay, I'm going to hit this customer with the best price.
Yeah.
So otherwise, you're going to overpay for your system, and then that can affect your realm when the next guy's coming down the pike for the contract on that home.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, if they know anything, or if you can figure out the price per watt, you're well, why would I sign up for a price per watt that's the same as what it is now, or whatever it might be?
Yeah,
It's
whatever
still,
it is.
it's going to be, I mean, solar's still going to be a good investment, like I said, but you want to always make sure you get the best option.
So let's back up. Tell us how solar works. You put these big things on my roof.
Yeah. See, don't you see it?
Yeah. See, and Mike's out on his roof today just to show you that.
Yeah.
So how does this work?
Yeah, I always wanted to be a weatherman, so yeah. No, I get dyslexic on the green screens, so
yeah.
No. How it works is, all right, so from start to finish, once you sign the contract, typically an installer is going to have you done anywhere from 45 to 60 days. It used to be 30 days. Hopefully we'll get back to that mark, but there's so many people going solar that the utilities are inundated, and they can't keep up. Utilities in the cities and the permitting offices, all that. So sign the contract. The whole goal is you're going to offset your energy, or most of your energy, with these panels.
Okay.
During the day, the sun beats down on these. Even if it's a cloudy day, rainy day, the sun is going through the clouds, going through tree coverage. It's energizing these panels, producing more energy than your house is using, sending extra energy back to the utility. The utility stores that energy in form of credits, and then that extra energy. And then at night, when you're no longer producing, you're calling upon that extra production that you had sent to the utility during the day. And that's how we get you to 100% or close to 100% offset.
When you say the utility, you don't mean Reliant.
Well, yeah, it could be Encore,
the
CoServe.
Okay.
Yeah, and these guys, they net meter. Without net metering in Texas, then solar doesn't make sense. Like, there's a lot of areas in Oklahoma that residential solar we can't do yet because the utilities have such a tight grip. They don't want to net meter, because essentially every customer that ends up getting solar, that's a customer they lost for their energy, because that customer's energy is being taken care of from these panels, or for the most part at least. So they're losing. So a lot of it's not an easy battle to have, because they have to relinquish that control.
Right. So they're losing a customer, in that all that I'm going to be paying the utility, this whole concept just confuses me. So I always have to say it out loud, because I'm going to generate 100% or 105. They get to keep 5% of my energy that I produce, and they don't pay me for it. That I produced.
Some places do, but
we'll get to that. But they're not getting the carrying fees, or this fee and that fee, and all of that, because I'm not purchasing anything from them any longer.
Right.
Correct?
You're paying them a monitoring fee, and then each month you can use different amounts of energy. Usually in January or February, we've got family friends that come down. He likes the motocross, and he brings his RV, plugs it in. There's never any sun. It's usually the coldest week he comes, brings his whole family, gobbles up my energy, and I have a bill. I'm like, dude.
So that's when you put that in the mail and send it back to him and say, look, man, you're costing me. Not only got to feed you, but I got to feed that RV too.
Exactly. Don't even get me started on how much water he uses. But no, it's funny. I always joke to him. I'm like, come during the summer, like when I'm surplusing energy. Don't come, when I'm running my pool the whole time to keep it from freezing.
But your house, house, how big is the house that you have panels on? It's
like 3,200 square foot.
And a swimming pool.
And a swimming pool.
And you cover all of that.
All of that. I've got probably three or four. This year I had 4 small bills. So it's not 100% offset. I don't want to surplus my energy, because then I'm paying on panels that the utility is reaping the benefits of.
Right.
So there's a fine line. You want to walk? But yeah, I mean, my panels are taking care of my energy needs, which is great. Some of my neighbors were paying $700 this summer. And that's when I got about $40 bill in August, which I was happy about, a
Yeah.
$40
Yeah.
bill. And this August, especially, last year in August, we didn't pay, I mean, it was like $12 in August. So, I mean, it's great. We love how it's worked personally,
Yeah.
and that's another thing that spurred us to like, okay, this is this is great for other people.
Well, and and the last time you were on the show, we talked about the Texas grid, right? Every summer and every winter, the people in Texas are like, all right, are we gonna have power?
Yeah, right.
Ever since the 2020
Yeah, the
ice
February.
storm that
Yeah,
wiped out our grid, and
we're about to have to start paying for that too via fees.
yeah,
All of
well,
these
yeah,
fees
because
are
it's
coming
got
down
to
the
come
pipe.
from somewhere, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother boat. Now, so we've done a lot of generators and a lot of batteries, and I personally have a battery, because if you have solar and you don't have a battery or a generator and you're knocked off the grid, you still don't have power. You don't have
Right.
your lights on. Um, the problem with batteries is they've gone up a lot in price in the last 3 years. And a lot of the vehicles coming out they have the same technology. They are like the Ford Lightning and the new GMC Denali. They are battery backup walls. Tesla's coming out with one too. So the way I look at it is, why would I sell you a $15,500 battery and we do it at cost, or that just going to hang on your wall, when the technology is changing a lot? They're trying to get away from lithium. There's a lot of money being dumped into the battery technology right now. So when you could just, the next car you buy is a battery backup, and at least it could take you for a cup of coffee. So,
Oh, okay.
mine's just sitting on your wall. So I mean,
Yeah.
part of what I do is just realistically talk to people about, okay, now if you've got medical equipment, if you're out in the sticks and you've got $1,000 worth of meat in your freezer, then that's a different conversation.
Right. Right. But if you're
But
a suburban house in Capel,
yeah, and you're just you're trying to leverage against the future,
yeah.
I wouldn't say right now is the time to buy a battery. Maybe 3 years from now, maybe the next car you have is going to be one. So
So when you say,
um,
because again,
yeah,
this
yeah.
technology stuff is not that's why I've got you to answer these questions. When you say a car is a battery backup, does that mean then if I don't have a battery for my solar panels
Mhm,
and the lights go out,
mhm.
I can plug my panels into my car and I'll have lights?
You plug your car into your breaker box,
Okay.
and then you will have whatever you back up. You'll have to have an electrician, pre-wire it, but it's
Sure.
I mean, it probably comes with the Lightning purchase.
And that's
It's probably
probably
a
cheaper
package.
than $15,000 battery.
Exactly. I mean, that's, I mean,
That
well, you're
electrician's not going to be 15 grand.
no, no, no. But that same battery is in the Ford, or that same battery is in the Denali. So
Okay.
yeah, all they're doing is they're utilizing that for two different reasons. Now it's a battery that takes you across to the Mississippi River, and then and back, hopefully, if you find a charging port, and then but it also doubles as a home generator or a home backup
Interesting. Yeah.
should you lose power, which is going to be more and more important in the future. As a lot, it's funny, it's like the solution is the problem. Batteries, like one of the big reasons we're going to need backups is because electric vehicles in the first place. Like,
Yeah.
it seems like a great solution, a great thing, whatever, but I mean, California, they're energy shortages all the time, and they have the most electric vehicles in the
Right.
country.
And the number of people that are moving to Texas,
Right. Oh yeah, we're
so
in
it's
trouble.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a good problem and a not a good problem,
I
right?
know.
Because
I know.
it overloads the infrastructure that's already teetering.
Yeah, and I mean, and we have so many outages. I mean, there's a surge website that you can follow, like just the DFW area, Houston area, wherever you want to look. But it shows you how many surges or outages there are, and there's a ton. I mean, we're losing power all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, we think of it as consumers, like, okay, we lose it a couple times a year, but that's everywhere,
Yeah, so that's us. Now
yeah,
we're
yeah,
using it and you're losing it and they're
yeah,
losing it. So
yeah,
it's like and it's the rolling things too,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
When the utilities just say, okay, we got to release the pressure, especially
Mm,
in the hottest days in the summer,
mhm,
and we're just going to roll it
yeah,
neighborhood to neighborhood.
yeah, yeah, and that's when it gets really, when it's scheduled a week out, like, when you're going to lose power. That's when it's like, hopefully you already have some sort of a plan by that time,
Yeah.
but that's where we're going, in my opinion. And it's not just my opinion. There's
Yeah.
other experts in the field that, it's going to be, energy is going to be, it's a commodity now, but it's going to be more so in the future, when it's not just you flip on your, like, we waste energy like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
People leave lights on all the time, and those days are, unless we start building more nuclear power plants, or Tony Stark comes out of the woodwork with his
Come on, Iron Man.
yeah, his Iron Man thing, like, which, it's funny. I think that because of how much money is being dumped into battery technology, I'm interested to see in the next 10 years what happens with batteries. I think
Yeah.
they're going to get, almost completely away from lithium, and their capacity is going to be much bit better, so that you're going to be able to take electric car from one side of the country to the other. Yeah, so we'll see, we'll see,
see.
but there's a lot of money being dumped into that.
Somebody's making some money on this.
Yeah, I say, oh yeah, oh yeah.
So let's talk about the house itself,
Mhm.
right? And solar panels. If somebody is sitting there and they say, well, I wonder if my house,
Mhm.
if it will work on my house. Maybe they're covered in trees or they face the wrong direction. I mean, kind of talk
Yeah.
to me a little bit about what
Yeah.
makes a
That's a
good
good
or
question.
bad option. Is this the year that you're going to stop paying rent? Is this the year that you are going to finally purchase your own home? But where do you start? How do you get your questions answered? Well, I'm Robin McCoy, and I'm a Texas realtor with Keller Williams. Relax, I got this. I have a home buyers masterclass the first Saturday of every month, and it's free to you, and it's all online. Just text the word masterclass to 214-226-3770, and we'll get you registered and on the path to home ownership. I mean, kind of talk to me a little bit about what makes a
That's
good or
good question.
bad option.
And I usually don't disqualify, like, and I tell a lot of so I work with a lot of roofing companies. We're the back end solar company within that roofing company. And a lot of times the guys will say, and I always tell them not to disqualify one, because you don't know how much energy a customer's using. You might have a really pitchy roof, and we can only get 10 to 15 panels on there, kind of spread out. But that customer it might be a really efficient home, and they might not use that much energy. So it all depends on how much energy you use. If you're using 20,000 kilowatts a year, that's the normal, or not, the average customer is using between 15,000 kilowatts a year and probably 25,000 kilowatts a year.
Okay.
And then, then it goes up from that. I've seen like residential clients using over 50,000 kilowatts.
What are they running?
Yeah, well, that lady had 2 RVs. They had 6 adults living at the property.
Okay.
And there's other strategic solutions that we offer. So it's not just like, okay, we need panels. I've got spray foam. I've got this green energy panel, which cleans up your energy, condenses it, drops your kilowatt usage by 10 to 15%. So if I'm talking to you, it's not like, okay, most solar companies, they do solar. We're looking for energy solutions. We partner with window companies. We partner with AC companies, because some of those things can be, changed to help your consumption. So the end all be all isn't just, I want to offset as much as I can with solar. Anyway, but back to your roof. Ideally, we're going to want to put it on the south facing slope. So now if the front of your house is facing south, we're probably going to put it east and west. Just aesthetically, people don't like to look at that, which, I think people need to get, they're going to get used to it.
I think people are getting more and more used to it.
Yeah.
Because I'll drive into some neighborhoods as a realtor, and you will see several houses
Mhm.
with panels on them. Used to
And-
be they were the anomaly.
Yeah.
And now you'll go into some of these neighborhoods, especially in the further northern suburbs, like far
Mhm.
north McKinney
Yeah.
and up that way.
Yeah.
And you will see, a good percentage of the homes in that neighborhood with solar panels on them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and the reason for that is energy costs. Once the energy cost went up over 10 cents, it made selling solar very easy. So now that we're in the 20 cents, it's literally, if you have the conversation with a customer and you show them their numbers, the finances, they sell it for us. So it's worth entertaining and looking at what your option is. But ideally, you're looking for a southern slope, kind of not so many pitches and valleys, but we want to put it, hopefully on the sides or the back, to keep it away from curb appeal. Also land ground mounts. I've always had, people love ground mounts, keep them off the roof, put some chicken coops under them or
Yeah.
whatever they want
Yeah.
to do. So, ground mounts are always fun. But yeah, that's what we're looking. I mean, ideally we're putting enough panels on, and if we can't offset enough of your energy, even with our other solutions, then I'm just going to be point blank with you and say, in your situation, I wouldn't advise, I wouldn't get solar if I was you. So,
Well,
I'd
and that's
rather
good
have,
to know that. I mean, if a person is willing to not sell you,
uh-huh.
I mean, there are times when I've talked myself out of a real estate transaction. I'm like, look, this isn't the time.
Yeah, but
This
that's
doesn't make
better.
sense for you.
It's better for you, because the worst thing you can do is have a customer that you shouldn't have, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
because they're not just going to go away. They're going to be like, hey, this isn't good. This isn't reflecting the way it should, right?
Right.
So, the way I would rather have no customer and an educated person as to why it doesn't work for them than try to make somebody a customer or make them fit when solar just doesn't work for them.
Doesn't work.
So now it might in 5 years when the price of energy is 3 times what it is now.
Right.
So at that point, if offsetting even 10 to 15% will make sense. At this point, it doesn't, because because of the solar rates that you get and all that. So if it's going to cost you more money, I'm not going to suggest it, even if it's this year, and then ultimately it's going to save you money. I
Yeah.
want you to realize the savings right off the bat.
So it's interesting because, nobody knows how much they're paying
Right.
per kilowatt hour.
I know.
Nobody knows,
I know.
because it's not something you feel like you have necessarily control. I mean, I could switch from, Reliant to TXU to whoever,
Mhm.
but I don't really know how much I'm paying.
Yeah.
And we don't, and you are saying they're up to 20 plus cents
Mhm.
a kilowatt hour. And it occurs to me that we look at gas prices and we know exactly how much. 280. I saw 289 today, and I was like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah,
where
I'm gonna
am
fill
I?
up. I'm gonna
Oh
fill
yeah,
up.
look, do I need gas?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
We
Yeah.
know, they don't park the energy cost.
Mhm.
There's not a little thing in your
Yeah.
house that tells you how much you're spending, like they do. The gasoline prices are out there on the sidewalk, so we
Yeah.
don't know how much we're spending.
Right.
We just get the bill and go, "Crap, that's a
It's
lot."
it's a liability. It's an ever increasing. We just take it on the chin, move right down the line, especially if you're in like a co-op, because you think that there's absolutely no choice,
Oh, right.
there's nothing you can do. So you're defeated, and you're staring uphill at an $800 co-serve bill, wondering what the heck you're gonna eat that month.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and in some cases,
But you ain't gonna cook at home, because then that's using too much damn energy.
you like fire up the barbecue grill. Go get the charcoal briquettes.
I know.
Come on,
It's
kids, we're
like,
having
man,
burgers. I mean,
yeah.
so talk to me about how do I pay for this?
Yeah.
Right? How much do they cost?
Yeah.
How long does it take me to pay for them?
Mhm. Yeah.
And what if I have to sell my house?
Yeah, those are good questions. Hopefully I get to all 3 of them in that order. Who knows? Keep me on track, Robin. Keep me on track. So, all right, cost of them. So typically people will take the loan. There's 2 different ways. You can buy it cash and you get a discount, or you can take a loan and then you have a monthly payment. Your monthly payment should be less than your average energy bill.
Okay.
Okay. So, there's 2 monthly payments. there's a initial monthly payment that's the first month through the 17th month or the 18th, depending on the solar vendor. And let's just call that, let's just hypothetically, let's say your solar, your average energy bill is $250.
Okay.
And solar, the first month through the 17th month is going to be $135.
Okay.
You're going to get a $12,000 tax credit because it's 30% of the overall system. All right. So, because the government will give you a tax credit for liability owed, it's a dollar for dollar credit against liability owed on the entire solar loan amount. So, let's say it's going to be $130. You get a $12,000 tax credit. If you don't take that tax credit and apply it to the solar loan, then after the 17th month, your payment is going to, instead of being $130, it's going to go up to $220. All right. So now your payment in month 18 is going to be $220. If you take the tax credit and you just use it against your taxes, or just, don't take that 12 grand and apply it to the loan.
So if you do not apply it to your solar loan, then on the 17th month or 18th month, you're going to go up to the 220 something.
220. Okay. Now that 220 is still lower than you're already paying, that 250 currently on average for energy, let alone what you're paying in a year and a half. All right. So those finances make a lot of sense. And you've got, remember, if you're paying that 220, you've got that tax credit that you did whatever else with.
You bought a boat.
Yeah. I mean, because it's not a big old fat check that they send you back, which is what a lot of solar people will lead you to believe.
No, the government's not going to send. It's a credit. It just goes against your liability.
Exactly. So, but that's important to note. And not everybody can get it because, like, let's say it's a retired person or an Army vet, wounded soldier or whatever, and they're not accruing tax liability. So they need to know that going in, that they're going to, after 17 months, they're going to be paying that 220. Now that 220 is still better than that 250, right? So, and more importantly, they're paying towards ownership in a system. Maybe it's a 20-year loan, maybe it's a 25-year loan, but ultimately it's going to be paid off. Their money is going towards something. So at someday in the future, it's going to be owned outright and still producing. So after 25 years, these things are still producing 85% of what they were day one. So it's not like it just falls off a cliff. Right. And as far as, so those are the similar numbers that I'm going through people, with all the time. A lot of, I've got one after this, I've got a customer in Highland Village that their insurance is not going to buy their roof. And so we're financing the roof within the solar, and that initial number is going to be $371. I'm looking at it over here. It's $371. They're already paying $415 for energy on average.
And they're going to pay less, and they're getting a new roof. They're
going to get a new roof financed through solar. Now that new roof is financed through the whole solar deal. So their tax credit is going to be, it's like $32,000 tax credit. So they're not going to be paying taxes for years. Yes. Unless they're making all kinds of money. So yeah. But anyway, and then after that 17th month, then that payment goes to $533, which right now is over what they're paying for energy. But we've financed almost a $20,000 roof that insurance isn't going to buy. So it's either they got to figure out a way to buy this roof and come out of pocket, or they can make $371 payments for a year and a half, and then it goes up to $533 with a giant, over $30,000 tax credit. Yeah. So there's reasons and ways to look at, if you're gonna upgrade your home on an energy efficiency level, getting new windows, anything like that, you should definitely consider looking into solar simultaneously, because you can usually get lower interest rates for a lot longer period of time, so that you're not feeling it, you're not taking it on the chin. But this is a good thing to notice, because now, let's say 5 years from now, that same customer goes to sell this home.
Right.
even so, let's say 5 years from now, and you're looking at this solar contract, you're like, what is going on? Why did this person pay so much for solar?
Right.
They're paying $533. I don't see that much production. So we could do the algorithm and find out what they're paying per watt. And still at that 533, especially, years down the line, it's still going to be a lower price per watt than you're paying on the open market anyway.
Right.
But as long as that holds true, if you were buying this home, if you were the buyer's agent, I would suggest, like, hey, there's got to be something in here they financed. Like, you don't want your customer to have to deal with that. So those are concessions that we can ask for.
Okay. So because,
yeah.
I mean, they put a new roof on. So now as a buyer, I've got a 5-year-old roof instead of a 20-year-old roof.
Right. And they finance it, and now they're asking you to pay the lion's share of it. So but that's why looking at the contract and figuring out, why are we so high? What did you do? And also being forthcoming, like, as a selling agent, like, hey,
this is what outline it.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're selling your house and you've got the solar panels and you've financed it, you financed windows and a roof too, all into it, make sure as a seller that you're outlining that so people understand what that money is.
Right. And then, I mean, I always tell agents, like, okay, print out their bills prior. And you don't have to print them out like a big old pamphlet, but condense it or put it on an Excel spreadsheet and print this out for people that walk into the house.
Yeah.
Print out their prior bills, the price that you're paying per watt with solar, how much energy you're guaranteed produce, the warranties that transfer, put all this on a nice clean document, and lean into it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, a lot of agents have been giving away panels, solar, in Texas. They don't do that in California. They don't do that in Florida, places that they've already, Hawaii for sure, places that they've had solar for years. But agents now, like a buying agent will say, hey, I don't want a $30,000 bill. Right. And and then the selling agent is just like, they don't know how to navigate that. So they're just like, okay, we got to give it away. And those days are numbered. Yeah. That's not in the best interest of your client. And no one should give away the system. If your buyer is going to make you buy out your system rather than taking over, that $220 payment, even though all the rest of the neighborhood is paying $350, and they're like, nope, I don't want to take over that $220 payment. So, okay, if you're going to make me buy this out, I'm taking the damn thing with me. So, I'm not going to buy your system. If I buy this system, I'm going to take them with me.
I'm taking them with me.
And could be considered an idle threat, but it's more plausible to take the panels with you than just leave a $30,000 investment or an $80,000 investment or even a $15,000 investment, behind.
And I think what's important too with these conversations, regardless of what side you're on, is knowing you got somebody like you to call and explain it.
Yeah, I did that this week. I explained.
So I'm like a listing agent, and I'm like, look, buyer's agent.
Yeah. You
and your buyer, call Mike, and he will explain it to you much better than I can. Exactly. I can explain a real estate contract. Yep. You can explain the solar contract.
Exactly. And then a lot of time people have bought in homes before. They've bought in cars. They've bought in Pokemon cards, like I was talking about. No, but they've never bought solar most of the time. So they have no idea. All they know is their buyer's agent comes up to them and says, hey, this one has a $30,000 loan on it. So, and they don't know anything about it, and they're just worried about it because it could kill the deal, and they don't know how to even present it.
I had that. We had a house a couple of years ago, and it had a $30,000 solar contract that was to convey to the buyer.
Yep.
And I'll be honest, I didn't know enough about it. I didn't know to call you then. And my buyer's like, I got to buy a mortgage and I've got to pay this $30,000 bill. Right. Nobody explained that. Yes.
Yeah.
However, it's $220 a month, and this 5,000 square foot house is going to be $600 a month to heat and cool.
the first question I ask the buyers when I get on the phone with them, and I'm very, I try to just make it as like a fun conversation. You're about to buy this house. This is a really exciting thing. Somebody's already done you a favor. There's a couple things we want to find out. Did they take their tax credit and apply it into the loan? Because that's a concession that you can ask for. That's a reasonable concession. Or, and because, they got that tax credit, right? So, you didn't reap the benefits of that. But anyway, but the first question I ask these people is, okay, all right, so are you planning on using energy at this new house?
Yes.
Like,
I do need my lights. Yes.
Exactly. So, so what we're talking about is the difference. If you didn't have solar on that property, you would have to call the utility and change the name, and then you would have to be paying the energy bill.
Yes.
You're doing the exact same thing with solar. The only difference is exactly what you're going to be paying month after month.
Yeah.
Now,
it's not going to go up.
Yeah. And well, your needs might be different than the person that bought it. And that's where I come in too. Like, hey, and I'm not trying to pitch them like, hey, we need to increase the system size, but it's get in the house, live there for a little bit. If you're using more energy, we slap a few more panels on there and then take care of it from there.
Yeah.
But it's, so these are the questions that I get to like go over with the customer. But after that call, they are familiar with what solar is supposed to be, how it is. And sometimes I run into deals that people just signed up for the wrong deal. I mean, and that sucks. But at least I'll tell them and show them like why it's still everything that the solar is producing is helpful.
Yes,
it might not
be as helpful as it could be,
right? But it's still helpful.
But it's still helpful.
So, yeah. So,
all right. Well, I know you got another appointment coming up here. If I didn't already keep you too long, we could talk for like hours on this.
I know.
What is one thing that you want to leave with people? What's the one gem we didn't talk about?
Yeah.
That maybe you want to leave with folks?
I'll tell you this. So we do it a little bit different. I'm a community oriented person. We are sponsoring a non-profit purse drive, purse auction. So I'll keep you posted about that.
Right.
We love community outreach. We love co-sponsoring events. We have a bounce house. So we really want to connect with our communities. If there's an event that people need sponsors for, I think on this you'll have my email.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll put everything in the show notes.
You have a realtor appreciation event, if you have anything to do with roofing, I would love these contacts. I can help those people navigate. There's a lot of markets and industries solar can touch, but really, like if you need a bounce house or you have a community event, reach out. We'd love to, we want to put that thing to use. It gets enough use with my boys, but
let's take it out and share the wealth a little bit.
Exactly. No, we love that kind of stuff. That's, cool. To be able to go out and actually talk to people and not be presumptuous, knocking on your door like, hey, you need to listen to what I have to say. We want to feed the community. We want to give back to nonprofits. We want to genuinely just be there and be the voice in this industry that you can trust. So that's it. That's what I would leave you with.
All right. We can trust Mike Finney. You know what? And I'll be honest, I've known Mike. I met Mike through networking. I don't know. We figured like 7 years ago or something.
A while.
And he's actually, he's not actively selling insurance, but he's still taking care of me.
Yeah. Heck yes.
So he is my insurance agent. So I do trust. Like I said, so there's some trust that goes on with these things, and he's an honest guy, and he will tell you the truth, whether it's something you need or should look into, but it's worth a conversation. It's
worth checking out. And if you're going to learn from somebody that's not just trying to sell you.
Yeah.
Because at the end of my conversations, I give you the information and that's it.
And then you leave.
Yeah. And then I'm not hounding you. So, which is, I'm not chasing anybody down in the field unless they're trying to run off with my bounce house.
Then the boys are going, Dad.
No.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being with me today. This is always a good conversation, just to get some information out there on something that really it's hard to discern what is the right information and what's not.
It
So
is, especially that half of the advertisements out there are free. Government's paying for
yeah,
this.
yeah.
If anybody says free to you, don't click on it.
No,
That's
no.
nothing
'Cause
free.
there's
in this
nothing's
world.
free.
Yeah.
There just
And-
isn't.
But I'll get you in touch. We've got access to every local incentive, every government incentive. So
So if there's an incentive out there.
is that a rope with a bell attached to it behind
No,
you?
it's actually got a monkey attached to it. It's a lamp.
I was wondering, like, if you get a real estate sale, you just tug on
Ding
that
ding.
rope,
No,
you
that's
know?
just, I'll see if I can show him. There he is.
Oh, look at him go.
He's a monkey lamp.
Hey, that's awesome.
You know. So
And Robin,
all right.
it's my pleasure. I appreciate it. I'll join you any day of the week.
All right. Well, I appreciate that.
You
All
bet.
right. Thanks for dropping into Relax I Got This podcast. Remember, who you're in business with matters. Subscribe to this channel so that you don't ever miss an episode, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for Relax I Got This with Texas Realtor Robin McCoy. Check out all the show notes for contact information on Robin and her guests and to access your free buyer and seller guides. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a conversation. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time on Relax I Got This with Robin McCoy.